Here we go. Right, I got as far as telling you that you have to make the classroom more suitable, suitable for children. That'll be a skill, you know, adapt it so you know what each child is, what each child's needs are, and what part of the classroom they feel comfortable in. Take into account, we discussed that, the child's culture and family background. Using different methods and working with children to give them a holistic education. That'll be their overall development. Creative use of music, art and drama in the classroom setting, that's a skill. Practical skills to deliver child health, exercise and nutrition, and excellent at looking after the physical care of the children. Managing other workers in the childcare setting and delegating tasks where appropriate. That would be now if you're a room leader or a manager. Excellent at working on your own initiative. Well, that would be not room leaders or management. So as well as that, other key characteristics, you're going to find this coming up time and time again, and a lot of it is going to be repetition. So if you say it once, you'll have it for some of the other bits and pieces. Your IT skills as well. The better the IT skills, the better job you will do in the classroom. Professionalism to ensure calm in all situations. Motivation skills to encourage children to succeed in their learning. Time management skill to structure the day so that the needs of the children curriculum targets are met. Ability to work well as a team player to enhance the learning and working environment. And you must be good in a crisis. Now, you probably all agree with that. And that's that. Now, has anyone any questions about that? That's simple enough. All right?
No.
Yeah, okay. Now, the next one now I will show you is the changing nature of work in childcare. I just want to tick off now what I have done. Don't have to be repeating myself in the minute. Sorry, no. Right. Now, this is how the childcare has changed down through the century, I suppose, really. So now, can you see this, or did I share it?
Yes, yeah.
You can see that, that's fine. I see, I'm not sure whether I can see it or not, because whether you can see it or not. Yeah. So the changing nature of work. So in the past, childcare in Ireland was usually provided by family members or by childminders. Today, it's gone again, is it?
For me, it is. I can still see other key characteristics. Am I the only one that can see that?
1 minute now.
No, we're all on that one.
Other key characteristics.
You're still at other key characteristics.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Do you know this plastic? It's gone again. I know it's gone. Am I gone again?
No, I can hear you. No.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, yeah, okay. That's what I'm afraid of, you see, that I'll disappear again. No. I've an awful feeling, girls, I'm going to disappear again.
It's just after freezing, is it?
It's after freezing again?
Is that?
It is, yeah. Now that possibly has to do with my computer. Oh, for God's sake. This is a disaster. 1 minute now.
Try stop and sharing the screen and then share it again. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I know where you are. Right, I'll try it again. Because it's, as far as I can see, it's after freezing again.
Yeah.
And I haven't. You're back. I have you back. So, yeah. Right, here we go. Now, screen one. No, it's after freezing again, me. Oh, for God's sake, this is terrible. Stay there a minute, the girls. I'll see, can I find you? Here we are. Now, You still can't see that, can you? It's called the changing nature of work.
No.
No, you see, yeah. Right. We'll try this one now. Can you see this one? Career management.
Yes, yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we'll cover that. That's fine. We'll cover that one. Now this is about career, how to manage your career. Career management is a lifelong process of investing resources to accomplish your future career goals. The career management process embraces various concepts: self-awareness, career development, planning, career exploration, lifelong learning, and networking. And successful careers develop when people are prepared for opportunities. That's a quotation from the Harvard Business Review. So self-awareness. This now is when you're advancing yourself in your career. Look at yourself to discover your interest, your skills, your personality traits and values. And then you can kind of ask yourself the following questions. Who are you? What interests you? What do you like to do? What are you good at doing? What do you value and what's important to you, and what are your special assets, skills and abilities? That, I suppose, really is doing your skills audit, and this will come up time and time again, the skills audit. And ladies, I hope you have it done, because if you haven't done it, you'd want to start doing it now, because you'll be referring back to it for a lot of things, including this. Self-awareness. Who needs the talent, skills and abilities you can provide? So if you look at yourself and you want to advance in your career, look at what you're good at, look at what talent you have, what skills you have and abilities, and see what are needed for whatever the next step in your career is. What work environment or arrangements make sense for you? So what kind of a work environment would you like to be in? Or if you got the role, we'll say, of room leader, is there some way you would change your work environment, or change your room, or change whatever is going on in your setting at the moment? What activities do I find fun, motivating, interesting and enjoyable? What skills do you need to acquire to develop and manage your career? We'll be talking about that later on. What personal style or characteristics do you have that are important to you in the workplace? So you'll be asking yourself, what characteristics do I have that are important to me in the workplace? As well as that, if you were doing your skills audit, I kind of said, give it to somebody that's very honest and tell you whether you're right or wrong, or what their opinion of your skills audit is. So as friends, family members, co-workers, professors, well, that'll be me, or mentors, if they see the same qualities in you as you see in yourself. That'll be your tutors, or, if you were going out for a job or something, a lot of people would give me a buzz before they go for an interview, and look for an honest, look for me to give them an honest appraisal of themselves. So planning on taking the next step. So the next step in your career would be to take the time to think about your job or your career goals. Do you really want to take the next step? If you're a childcare assistant now in a room where there's a room leader, do you really want to take on the job of the room leader? Are you ready for it? Would you like to wait until you have more experience? Focus on developing knowledge and skills for your current position and for future job opportunities. So kind of think to yourself, look, is there other skills and things I should be doing to maybe give me more experience and a better chance at improving my career? Think about how you can utilize efficiently your strengths, talents, experience and motivation, and how you can use all of these aspects to increase your passion for work. Be the architect of your own development plan. Write out your goals, make a decision to have a plan for your career development. You are the only person who can decide what the next step in your career is. And that's it. I mean, there is no point in expecting someone to come along and offer you a job if you're not kind of geared towards it, or you are not putting yourself in the position to be offered the next step and the ladder of where you're working. Discuss your career development goals with your manager. That now you would do, we'll say, with appraisals. I'll be talking about appraisal later. I think I have a piece in it where you would sit down with your manager or your supervisor and discuss what your career goals are. Once you have made a career decision, you need to plan how you will carry out that decision. A career plan provides vision, structure, direction, and motivation for your career management process. So once you've decided what you want to do, sit down and make out a plan, and that will help you then to take the next step. Usually when we think of career management, we think of the goals or action items that we feel we need to do to move our career forward. Often we carry these thoughts around in our heads for long periods of time without ever writing them down. If we do write down our goals, they often take the form of a list, and many times we lose motivation after writing our goals down, misplace the list, and attain only some of our goals. That is why this method of thinking and just write your career goals is not very motivating or reinforcing process. What they're saying there is you can make a list of what your goals are. You know, it's like making New Year's resolutions. And we're great all together on 31st of December and we've a load of resolutions, but by the 3rd or 4th of January, they're gone and we've the list lost and we've lost the motivation. So they're saying, look, you make your list, all right, but it won't be the only method of motivating you. So this is what they're saying you should do. It is far more effective, motivating and productive to think of career planning as a process that allows us to envisage our future careers and then provides us a path to follow in attaining our goals and realizing our dreams. So career planning is definitely not something that happens once or twice in one's career. It is a reoccurring process of taking the time to assess one's identity, setting new goals, creating new career horizons, and celebrating successes as one develops and becomes more knowledgeable and skilled. And that's true, you know, we're kind of, particularly in the childcare field and in most jobs, you don't just kind of plan your career once or twice in your lifetime. You all now have taken the next step in your career because you've now gone on and you're after doing another course up from the one you've already done. And I mean, you will also be doing things like your first aid course and your diversity course and your manual handling and all that, and you'll be doing them every 2 years, something. That is all part of your developing your career. So lifelong learning. Now when we were doing child development, we were talking about lifelong learning. Are you surprised to know how much of the daily work is now based around technology? Computers, smartphones, tablets, and other technological devices have drastically affected the way in which we conduct work. So the consequences of these advancements and innovations will quickly reflect through the economy, affecting many industries and catapulting others into the limelight. Now, if you fall behind in the field of technology, well, not so much, I suppose, in childcare, really, even though it is very necessary in parts of childcare, particularly in managerial positions, you wouldn't necessarily fall behind. But in other areas of industry and things, you would. It is clearly up to you to be able to adapt to these ongoing innovations, which will be directly related to how current you keep your knowledge and skills. So that's entirely up to you then. If it's not a requirement we'll say in childcare, in your setting, well, it's no harm to know about it anyway. And most settings, more modern settings, and one of the big settings have different forms of recording observations and keeping in touch with parents and things like that. And that's something it would be no harm to know about anyway. You need to consider how to vary your learning investments in time, energy, and resources. So you might do credentialated coursework, sorry. That would be ones that are accredited, not things, you know, like the QQI now 5 and 6, because there are some courses out there and you get a cert, they're not worth the paper they're written on, and when the inspector comes in, they're not interested in it. So certificate programs related to your career or your interests, attending conferences, or simply staying current in professional reading. So that's just reading up on what's happening. keeping abreast of everything that's happening in childcare, and reading any leaflets and things like that come from the department, because usually they come and, you know, the manager or something, there's a folder where all these leaflets and these information pieces are put in, and to pick up the folder from time to time and read through it and see what's current. So networking is important. It's important in an awful lot of businesses other than childcare. So as we've moved to an information service and technological orientated economy, our networking relationships have become essential assets. These relationships will be the source of information about how emerging fields and industries are evolving. Now we will be talking about much later on, when you will be talking about setting up your own business. In addition, personal and professional relationships will transcend specific companies, communities, and industries. Our ability to interact, respond, and connect in our relationships will directly impact our present performance and future career opportunities. Now, it is important, well, particularly for managers, to be networking with other managers from other settings, because that's how you kind of find out what's going on. And I would always have a number of people that I would ring up and contact and, you know, say, look, how is this working out at the moment? Like, we're all kind of contact each other now because of COVID-19, and how are things working? And, you know, have you planned, what's your plan if there's a case of COVID in your setting? And we swap ideas for each other. Of course, there's nothing confidential to be discussed, like parents or children or anything like that, but ideas on how to run a business. Remember that keeping connecting and knowing how to build good relationships are more important than ever before. These skills can be developed in applied communication courses, contact management software, effective listening, and your authentic desire to know more people. And you get, you know, to go to conferences or you go to meetings and things like that, you learn from listening to other people. You don't necessarily have to contribute, but you listening to what the input from other people, and you would learn from them. And I remember going to the conference that used to be inside in Cork every year in Rochestown Park, for organised by the Autistic Society of Ireland, and it was a very long, it just kind of started about 8:30 in the morning, going to about 6 in the evening, and they used to have all these speakers, and the amount of knowledge you would get from it was terrific, really, and listening to other people speaking and listening to other people's ideas and things like that. And it's a good thing to happen, and you don't have to be a manager to go to this if it comes up. If it ever comes up and the manager puts a notice up on the notice board, think about going to it. Well, at the moment now with COVID, they're not having it. I think they're doing something online, but it's well worth going once anyway. So career management helps move people into roles where their skills are most suited and their aspirations are best met. So improving organisational performance by helping employees manage their careers and providing opportunities for career development, the organisation can ensure higher engagement and productivity. Now that would be a manager helping their staff to improve their career options. And I'm sure a lot of your managers or settings and things like that are helping you right now with your level 6. I know some businesses pay for the attendance of their employees at courses and things like that. And well, things like first aid and them should always be paid for anyway by employers. And but I will say courses like this, an awful lot of employers paid for the course, or they pay a percentage. So careers management skills are skills, awareness to develop aspirational career aims and the confidence to take actions in one's life time and again as career opportunities arise and as work and learning options change. So that's what it is. It's a thing you keep taking opportunities to improve in your career whenever the opportunity arises. So the onus of career management is more on the individual self than the employer. So it's up to you as an employee to improve, enhance your career or improve your career. The onus is on you. The onus is on you to kind of let it be known to your employer that you are interested in taking the next step, that you are capable of taking the next step. Ensuring personal development in terms of skills, competencies, change in attitude with time are things one may need to care of one on their own. So you to do your own personal development. You take be careful, we'll say, of your timekeeping. Obviously, no one will want a room leader or a manager who's 5 minutes late. Be conscious of all that sort of thing. Short-term goals need to be met and evaluated. We're talking about those. The long-term career goals need to be revised with the change in employment scenario itself. So you might have a long-term goal at something for 2 years down the road, but maybe 6 months down the road, your whole goals might change and adapt around the change. And COVID now has thrown a whole load of things out, so you may have to adapt and change your plans. Organisations may or may not be concerned in a big way or aligned to your priorities in career and life. Some organisations may not be in a position to help you enhance your career, particularly if it's a very small, privately run operation. And then, well, that's where you would look outside that particular business then, and maybe go into a much bigger setting to improve your chances of career development. Now here we're talking about appraisals. This is where you talk to your manager or whoever is doing your appraisals about your goals. Appraisals are periodical advisory and support discussions taken in confidence between staff members and management. It is face-to-face and usually takes place once a year. They take an overview, a view of the employee's work over a long period rather than focusing on day-to-day issues. They provide an opportunity for the employee and the supervisor to review together the employee's work performance and to plan for the future. There should be no surprises in the appraisal process, and employees should be given adequate notice, at least 2 weeks, and given a copy of their appraisal form to fill. Now, we are supposed to be doing that. I am, this came in a couple of years ago that all childcare facilities should be doing appraisals on their employees. Now they're done in an awful lot of big companies. People that work in big companies would be doing these, and the Americans just love them. They're forever doing it and calling their employees in. And you know how the Americans love self-praise and telling everyone how wonderful they are and marvellous. Well, the Irish employees are supposed to go in and tell their American bosses how wonderful they are, and which is a very difficult thing to do if you're Irish, because it's not something that we're kind of brought up to do, to sing our praises. So what it entails, an appraisal, is usually it's a form, and in the form there's a whole load of questions, and a copy of the form is given to the employee. Now it says it should take place once a year, and the employee sits down and fills it out themselves. Now, I couldn't give it to an employee today and say, well, I want that tomorrow. You can't do that. You want to give them at least a week or maybe more. You arrange a time then for this face-to-face meeting. And what you do then is, obviously, it has to be at a time, because you're taking the employee out of circulation for whatever, for an hour maybe, that there is enough staff to cover. And what they do, the employee fills it out, but so does the employer. The employer fills out what is their opinion of the employee, the same form, and they come together and they have a frank discussion. And it says there should be no surprises in the appraisal process, and employees should be given adequate notice. So there should be the employer shouldn't they give you the form to fill out, the same, the employer shouldn't come in and have an extra question added in. Also, it gives the employee, I don't have it in the next page, it gives the employee a chance to be quite open with the employer. If there's something about they're unhappy with, this is their chance to tell the employer, I'm not happy about this situation, or you're not giving me enough time to kind of catch up with my study and all that sort of thing. And that is the time to do it. There should never be any repercussions by the employer. The employer shouldn't come along and kind of say to you next year, well, I'll give you plenty of time now. You can take next Monday off now. You can do all the study you want, and I'm not paying you. They can't do that. You can't do something like that. So what it is, it's being very open, employer and employee, and discussing what's best for both parties. So the appraisals benefit the employees and the service. The employees are encouraged to stand back and reflect on how they are fulfilling their role. The employees have the opportunity to talk about their work and to define their contribution to the organisation and to set out their objectives and aims for their future in the workplace. So that's where I'm talking about. You talk to your manager about your goals. You know, you might say, if you're in a service or a school with a number of years and you have your level 5 done and you're now coming to do your level 6, or you have your level 6 done, now is your chance to say to your manager or whoever is doing your appraisal, well, now I have my level 6 and I would like to be given more responsibility. And if the opportunity came up for me to become a room leader, I would appreciate if I would be considered, but you'd have to go through the usual channels. You know, if there's a couple of people wanting to be the room leader and there's only one job and 3 people want it, well, you'd have to go through the interview process. But appraisals gives you that chance to be very frank with your manager and put forward what your career plans are. And what happens then is the manager then can help you along your career roles. The manager, you might say, well, now I need to do, we'll say I haven't done this workshop on diversity and I need to do it. Well, the manager would make note of that, and when the next workshop came up, they would release you to do that course, which diversity and equality opportunity. So they have the opportunity to define their task, to present their work and to receive feedback on their job performance. That the manager gives them honest feedback then. It helps to clarify any expectations the management may have. They can discuss their strengths, weaknesses and difficulties and seek support if needed. So we'll say if it was you were doing an appraisal and you would say to the manager, do you know something, I'm not very familiar with the Ashler at all, or the Shielter, or I'm not quite sure about the Shielter. Well, then the manager it's up to the manager then to say, well, look, I will find information for you, or you go online yourself and you find information and print out what you want to do, or I'll find a book and I think there's a book there about it, and look, you can take it, and if you have any problems you can go back to me or discuss it with someone else. If you, whatever it could be anything. It could be you're not comfortable with Shielta, you're not comfortable with AIM, you don't know, I'm not saying comfortable, but that you don't know enough about it. That is your chance to discuss it. They are able to air grievances about management and the organisation without affecting their prospects. That's what I was saying to you. If you do an appraisal and you're an employee, it's at the appraisal you can kind of say things that have been bothering you or niggling at you. And it would also be a case of, even if you're not getting on with a co-worker, you might say, look, I really don't get on with one of my co-workers, and you can name the co-worker if you want to, you know, and I don't feel comfortable working in the room with him, or we clash or whatever when we're there. Then the manager may well decide, well, look, okay, we will maybe move you to a different room, or maybe if it's shift work you're doing or something like that, if you come in the morning at 8 and leave you to one someone and the other person come in till 12, that you work opposite shifts. They may also discuss their salary and review their contracts and job descriptions, and that's a good time to do that. Discuss your salary, have a look at your contracts, the contracts would always be with the manager when they're doing an appraisal, and the job descriptions. So childcare professionals work across a wide range of childcare service provision areas, from full-time daycare to childminding in their own home. So no matter the area they are working, childcare professionals are required to provide an excellent standard of care to any and all children under their supervision, and they must be able to cater for each child's individual needs. And that's the thing about childcare, really. You can do anything from, like it said there, childminding in your own home with a qualification. And it's a very good idea if people are childminding to register with TUSLA and register with Childminding Ireland. And you can go from that to working part-time. You can work as a name worker, you can work as an SNA in a school if you have the SNA module done with your qualification, and you can work in full daycare. So there are lots of opportunities, and there are lots of opportunities to enhance your career or open your own business. So childcare is an industry which has seen radical reform over the past decade in Ireland. With the introduction of a number of regulations and government schemes, the childcare industry is now a regulated and monitored service in Ireland. With the number of working families in Ireland, the demand of high-quality childcare service is at an all-time high, and the industry is fast becoming a popular career choice for many people. And that's true. To be quite honest, Joe, now with the COVID-19 and people having to take on extra staff because of the extra duties we have to do, it's virtually impossible to get a childcare worker. And so, right, ladies? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah, you're still there. That's grand.
Yeah.
Right, that's grand. So that's career management in childcare in Ireland, and that's just how to progress or not progress. Now, we'll be talking later on now about employment and unemployment. I think that's probably next in Ireland. And you will see why, even though it is a career and it's very much a big career option for people in Ireland, an awful lot of people are leaving the industry. And we'll be talking about that. Now, I'm going now again, ladies, to the next slide, if I can find it. Oh, unemployment. See, this is the problem. For whatever reason, I've difficulty sharing. Right, here we go now. We have employment and unemployment in Ireland now. You can see this. I hope.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So this is employment and unemployment. Now, this actually is a section of your descriptor, which I don't happen to have in front of me now. 1 minute, maybe I have. I have 1 minute though. I put a coffee in the middle of it. It's page 6. It's under general work-related information. All right. So we're talking here the change in nature of work. We employment, unemployment. We have employability skills done and career management. I'm not even going to look at globalization tonight, girls. I tried doing research on it, and it was the greatest amount of gobbledygook I ever heard in my life. So I have only part of it prepared, but I'll try and simplify it, and I might actually send it on to you as an email attachment. Just a few notes on it. So we'll talk about employment and unemployment in Ireland. So the picture that emerged from the last census taken in Ireland in April 2016 was that of a childcare as a female-dominated sector. Now we kind of know that it's mostly females going through it, which is an awful pity, really. But then again, we'll see later on why it probably isn't men. I mean, it really has to do with pay, even though that's no excuse why women shouldn't be so badly paid. The hours worked vary between 15 and 40 hours per week. Some women were employed by 2 different organisations. And we'll say they might have worked for one setting in the morning and another setting in the afternoon, or they might work for a preschool in the morning or a full daycare. Oh, don't tell me I'm gone again. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can.
No, yeah. Sorry, it's just that somebody's had to come in my WhatsApp, and every time it comes in, I get a fright because I think, oh shit, I'm gone again. Yeah. Anyway, some women were employed by 2 different organisations. Some women they have 2 jobs. The same census also stated that the vast majority of SNAs were women, but the employment of men in the sector had increased since the previous census in 2011. And that's true, all right. There are more men now going into to become SNAs. Now, the early childhood sector is progressing fast, and there has never been a better time to enter the childcare profession. Early educators in the childcare sector can carry out a wide variety of jobs in creches, preschools, NENORA, after-school facilities, or as a childminder in their own home. Well, they could breakfast clubs as well, I should have included in there. So if you or anyone would like to pursue a career in childcare, there are various different courses and levels of certification available depending on which area of childcare you wish to enter. Childcare professionals work across a wide range of childcare service provision areas, from full-time daycare to childminding in their own home. No matter the area they're working in, childcare professionals are required to, I put that in my last slide and I repeated myself here, typical, are required to provide an excellent standard of care to any and all children under their supervision, and they must cater for each child's individual needs. So childcare is now an industry which has seen radical reform over the past decade in Ireland. With the introduction of a number of regulations and government schemes, the childcare industry is now regulated. Have I gone through that already? Is now regulated and monitored service in Ireland. With the number of working families in Ireland, the demand of high quality childcare service is an all-time high, and the industry is fast becoming a popular career choice for many people. This is the thing about this module, you keep repeating yourself, and you'll find yourself when you're writing up, you're repeating yourselves as well. Now, there is a great provision for childcare in Ireland. At present, almost every town has a preschool, creche or a Montessori in it. Many communities run preschool and after school subsidised by the government. Childminder is popular with a lot of parents, and they make private arrangements that is agreeable to both parties. And some parents prefer childminders because they prefer children to be cared for in smaller groups. Childminder is actually, I have it there now later on, or did I say it, are only allowed mind, is it five or six children in their own home, including their own. So maybe a lot of parents opt for childminders, and the childminder then just drops the children to a preschool. The workforce in childcare services has long been identified as central to the delivery of high quality experiences and environments for young children. So it's a growing industry. As I said, demand for quality early years settings is higher than ever. A quick search on a local job database will no doubt return a high number of hits for available positions throughout Ireland. And there is, because out of sheer curiosity, I went into a couple of websites, and even Early Childhood Ireland, who have their own jobs page and things like that, have an awful lot of positions available. Work in the office of a childcare organisation, work as childcare or childminder or early years educator. Now, if you have a childcare qualification like a level 5, you can work just in the office of a childcare setting, because you, as someone who would be answering phones and writing up and doing documents and maybe looking at information from the government, from the DCYA or PUBL, or the county childcare or Tussler or anything, you have to have a background, or you should have and if not, well, I suppose a lot of people learn on the jobs. There are many jobs available in childcare: executive assistant, Montessori teachers, relief staff, preschool leaders, preschool assistant, early years educator, after school assistant, etc. You can work as an SNA in schools, both primary and post-primary. Vacancies as home tutors are available to graduates. Graduates are also in a position to set up their own businesses, and these jobs require the level 5 to level 8 qualifications. Now, to be a home tutor, you know, where families are given, generally it is to work with children who have autism, and they're given a home tutor for so many hours a day. The qualification has to be an honours degree. Now, it didn't up to recently, but now it has to be. And and generally it's the graduate or the home tutor is interviewed by the family and paid, but they can be paid by the department, because a few years ago we had a boy here who had a home tutor, and the tutor used to actually come up with him for the 3 hours a day that he was here, and she was work with him and things like that, and she was actually paid by the department. If someone is considering setting up their own childcare setting, a good place to start would be the Child and Family Agency. So you can, if you're mad as a hatter, set up your own business, and you get onto the child, and you must register with the Child and Family Agency. We're going to be talking about that later on, setting up your own business and what you have to do. So if you are childminding service or want to go into childminding from your own home, Childminding Ireland is a useful resource. There is no compulsion on anyone to register with Tussler, but it is a good idea to do so. Now, employment during COVID-19. Now, this is where we'll say things kind of changed and are changing during COVID-19. Keeping childcare and childminding services open during the COVID-19 public health emergency is the government priority in line with public health advice. Well, now in the last lockdown, we didn't work. Now in this lockdown, we're considered essential services, so we are open. Because of the introduction of play pods in childcare setting, there is a need for extra staff to be recruited. Recruitment of staff has proven to be difficult, and many managers have hired staff with a lower qualification than they advertise for. A lot of managers were looking for, we'd say, level 6s, and they couldn't get a level 6 because level 6 are very scarce. And so they actually then said, well, okay, I'll take a level 5. But the reason they were looking for a level 6 really is that a level 6 can take over the responsibility of running a room. So, and which would leave the manager kind of free to do other things, because with the COVID-19 pandemic and everything associated with it, the last one, the temporary wages supplement, there's an awful lot of paperwork to be done. So because I got phone calls from people looking to know, was there any level 6 graduates? They were looking for graduates. Now a lot of your trainees, all of you, so you didn't qualify, looking for level 6 graduates because they had positions available for them. And if I knew anyone to kind of, give them the settings, name and address, and have to make contact. So to help businesses pay staff, the government has introduced employer wage subsidy scheme, which is open to all employers. Now that's the latest one now. The last one was the temporary wage supplement scheme, the TWSS, where employers kept their staff on the books, and the government helped the employer to pay the staff. Now they have introduced the employer's wage subsidy scheme. That's open to all employers, and it's to help, again, the employers not to allow staff go, but to help them with the staff wages. So the retention of qualified staff in the ECCE workforce. Evidence supplied by third-level colleges indicates that that's the early childhood education sector is experiencing difficulty in retaining qualified graduates in service provision. This may in part be due to here we are now, the traditional low wages and status afforded to work in the area. Now there was surveys done, and they found out that an awful lot of people are leaving the childcare sector. Particularly if they have their degrees, basically because of the low wages. And as well as that, the status, we are looked on an awful lot as babysitting service, which we're not. We are not a babysitting service, and that's simply it. And we do much more than a babysitting service. Now we'll say my setting here, which is sessional, it's not babysitting service. We have creches, but creches are just not a babysitting service either. They do an awful lot of other work with the children other than babysitting them. I mean, they are there, they stimulate them, they watch their development, they record what's happening with the child, they record their feeding input and their output, and the number of nappies and everything like that. That's just not a child minding service. There's other things, but that's what we're looked on as. Early Childhood Ireland reports that providers are facing into a staffing crisis. Over a third of providers are unable to recruit employees, with half unable to retain staff. A growing number are advertising for staff from overseas. There is a real question mark over the medium-term viability of childcare provision. And that's simply it. People are finding it very hard to recruit at a particular point in time. And a lot of it is because they're just taking up their jobs, or they've taken up their jobs, and that's it. Lack of affordability, low pay and precariousness, and a growing labour shortage. The crisis in childcare is underscored by the government's chronic underinvestment in the early years sector. And that's true. It's, we'll say the low wage, it's a precarious job to be in, particularly if you are working for someone like me, like a private provider. We depend on our numbers from year to year, and that's simply it. And as well as that, if the numbers drop, well then the hours of an employee may well be cut. and a growing labour shortage. That's another reason as well that it's the childcare sector is in trouble, because if you can't get employees, well then you cannot take in the amount of children that you could do because of the ratio. And of course the government just is not investing in it, and we saw that in the budget. We got no investment nothing whatsoever. We didn't get an increase, we got no investment whatsoever. So over a third of our providers are unable to recruit employees, staff, and able to retain staff. I said that. Employment in the, well, I'm back now again to the lower wages. The average pre-pandemic net weekly wage in the sector stood at €364. Now, that, I don't know how true that is or anything, but I got that from an article in the Irish Times. And that's the average wage. Now, I don't know how, I think that's probably full-time, maybe, 35-hour week. 55% of the sector staff work for fewer than 30 hours per week, with 36 working in excess of 36 hours per week. So that also came from the Irish Times. So in the 12 months up to May 2019, staff turnover in the sector stood at 23.4%. So we'll say up to May, up to last May, 12 months ago, the turnover of staff was 23.4%. And in the rest of the workforce in the country, the turnover was 17%. With 40% of childcare providers reporting the loss of at least one staff member in that period. So a total of 3,888 individuals left their employment, with approximately 40% leaving the childcare industry. So the research that was done and published in the Irish Times, and I think the research was done in DCU, there was 3,888 people left their employment. They left to go to work somewhere else. And 40% of those 3,888 were from the childcare industry. Now, I think they probably got those details from the revenue, because of, you know, the P45s. Obviously there was no names or anything mentioned, but they would have got those details from the revenue. So in the 12 months again before May 2019, 53% of providers had difficulties recruiting suitable staff. Don't mind the number 5 there, that was number 5 on the list in the Irish Times. The Department of Children and Youth Affairs has introduced, well, that's the temporary wage subsidy, and it was funded by the Department of Employment and Social Protection. Now you can get any data you want from that www.data.oireachtas.ie, and that is actually where the Irish Times got it. From that. So I suppose if you wanted to go in and were nosy enough and had time enough and read the boring papers, that's where you find it. But you can quote that, girls, in your references, because I have given it you. That's where I got it. Now you can quote it in your reference at the end. And here now again we have the World Wide Web data, oireachtas.ie. It's dated the 19th of May 2020. It's the COVID-19 pandemic, state spending and childcare. So the National Childcare Scheme, announced in 2017 budget, mind you, but didn't come into operation until October 2019. They took their time. Is a financial support mechanism for parents and carers utilising some form of registered childcare for children up to the age of 15. Now that is the National Childcare Scheme. DNCS, and you know, we're all working off the early years, or even things like that at the moment. That's what that was. It was brought in the budget in 2017, and it took 2 full years for it to be put into operation. It establishes a system of universal and income-related subsidies, 15 aims, and it amalgamates a range of direct exchequer supports to the childcare sector under one arching scheme by 2021. So what it does, it brought all the other, all the other schemes that people were getting money from different schemes here, there, including the ECC, and they brought them all under the one umbrella. There was 15 of them all together, and they put them under, called the National Childcare Scheme, NCS. And that now will be fully in operation by 2021. We won't hold our breath. It established, oh, here we are. I repeated myself there. That's it. Now, here's in his contribution to the Dáil debate on the emergency measures in the public interest, Bill 2020, on the 26th of March, this now had to do with childcare and educational funding. The Taoiseach said, that was Leo, when it comes to childcare, our plan always has been to expand the ECCE, Early Childhood Care and Education, and to expand the National Childcare Scheme incrementally, thereby reducing the amount parents have to pay. In some ways, we have done that in one fell swoop, an incremental measure done very quickly. Now, that was the budget, in the budget in October 30. Now, Leo said that last March. We had a budget now, just gone, and there was no investment made. So he said up here they were going to do it. The budget came out and there was no investment made. So that's really some more reasons why people are leaving working in childcare. And that's it. That's that one. Any questions there now, ladies?
No, I'd say.
No, you're all right. Very good. Now, let's see now what's my next one. I'm trying to find one that's not, they're all, this section is extremely boring.